After failing to gain promotion to the Premier League, Chris Wilder has been sacked by Sheffield United, and with the club looking for an expert to take them to the next level, who better than me to take this team to the promised land? And after promotion heartbreak, the first thing I have to do is drag morale off the floor. That's why whilst Wilder might be gone, his spirit lives on, as the streets will never forget his three at the back system that I'm bringing back to the club. However, the biggest problem that the club are facing at the moment is the overwhelming amount of loans at the club and the number of players whose contracts end at the end of the season. And once all these players decide to depart, we're going to be left, right and centre with gaping holes across the squad that I'm going to suddenly have to fill. Now, with me potentially looking to sell Ivo Grbić when he returns from his loan spell, and with Adam Davies being a decent backup goalkeeper to this man Michael Cooper, who I believe will be the long-term number one, I'm pretty well stocked in goal at the moment. However, with the shift in style to playing with three centre-backs, and with, let's face it, not many options to really choose from in my squad, the first thing I'm going to do is make Rob Holding's loan spell at the club permanent, as he signs for £1.3 million. I do still think I might need another centre-back to come in though, but I'll wait to assess the rest of the squad before I make a decision. With Hamza Chowdhury on loan, with Harry Clark on loan, and with Alfie Gilchrist on loan, plus the rest of the options at my disposal not being good enough for a starting spot, the second thing I'm going to do is make yet another loan move permanent. This time, it's Alfie Gilchrist who will join the club from Chelsea for £3 million. I think I've got a pretty decent central midfield pairing, with the 75 rated club captain Vinicius Souza, and arguably the best player at the club in the 78 rated Gustavo Hammer. Oliver Arblaster's showing some decent potential at 21 years of age, but with the 70 rated Tom Davies failing to impress on his early promise at Everton, I'm more than happy to let the Englishman go for a fee of £1.5 million to Anderlecht, which now means there's a backup position available at the heart of my midfield. And of course, I'm oh too happy to get the checkbook out once again. Now, I'm conscious this is a backup position, so I don't really want to bring anyone in who's going to rock the boat, but I'm also keen to bring in as much Premier League experience as I possibly can. But that's why I've decided to go down a slightly different tact and bring in the experienced 31-year-old Marvellous Nakamba from Luton Town for £1 million. It's not a signing that's going to pull up any trees, but hopefully he's going to be an able deputy to fill in when needed across this gruelling Championship League. There are a few more departures as I look to try and trim down this bloated Sheffield United squad ahead of a gruelling Championship season, and that's why Reece Norrington-Davies departs to Norwich for £1.1 million, and Louis Marsh departs to Bolton for £1.1 million as well. Ivo Grbić's time at the club is up, as Burnley have come in with a £2.3 million offer that's too good to turn down, and Jefferson Caceres departs to Swansea for £1.2. Callum O'Hare has that something special and no doubt will be at the cornerstone of all of my attacks, and whilst I would love to make Hezron Raksaki's loan move permanent, I highly doubt Crystal Palace will want to let the 22-year-old go. And so with the 21-year-old Andre Brooks able to play in that cam position, and with me having other more pressing issues to deal with, I'm going to change his development plan, and hopefully he can be the long-term backup for this man, Callum O'Hare. And finally, up front is just a collection of complete and utter average players. At 32 years of age, journeyman Kiefer Moore, I'm sure, is not going to be the man who's going to lead us to the Premier League. And whilst the 25-year-old Tyrese Campbell might be a decent backup, and the 22-year-old Tom Cannon is showing some decent potential, I think a striker is the big money move that I must make this summer to take this team to the next level. And that is why I've looked towards the United States international talisman, the man who scored 15 goals in the Championship last season for Norwich, whom I'm sure will be absolutely desperate to play Premier League football and lead us to the promised land next season. So with 4 new signings through the door, this is how the starting 11 is shaping up ahead of the new season. And whilst the bench is okay, we might want to see how the season develops and whether or not we need to make any moves in the January transfer window. It's finally time though for the talking to end and the action to begin as Sheffield United embark on yet another Championship adventure, this time kicking off our campaign away from home against Leicester City. And after a bit of a slow start, it's Leicester City who have the first opportunity of the game after some good build-up play, and they force the keeper into an early save. But after a defensive shambles in response, we give the ball away in the most dangerous position, and it's so easy just to play a ball across the 6-yard box for Jamie Vardy to tap into an empty net. 15 minutes in, Leicester City take the lead. And 2 minutes later, defensively, we're all over the place yet again. Leicester walks through my defence, the goalkeeper to our rescue. It's a long-range strike this time that forces our goalkeeper into his 3rd save of the game. But finally, after 40 minutes in, eventually we kick into gear. Callum O'Hare picking up a lovely pocket of space on the left-hand side, plays a nice ball through into the centre, and a wonderful through ball into the striker, and he must have his head in his hands. He cannot believe he's missed a brilliant opportunity to bring us back on level terms. But more defensive woes 15 minutes minutes into the second half, forced goalkeeper save number 4 as we teeter on the edge. A really tame header 5 minutes from time from new signing Josh Sargent was all that our attack could manage in the second half. As one game into our new campaign, we suffer our first loss of the season. A real poor way to start off my managerial career here at Sheffield United. And it just goes to show, even with 4 new signings, we've got a lot of holes still to fill if we want to take this team to the next level. Things have, however, started to turn back in our favour. After 10 games on the board, it seemed like that one loss from me was just a blip as we sit top of the table with 23 points. And after a bit of a calamity in our opening game of the season against Leicester City, it seems like our 2-star strikers Tom Cannon and Josh Sargent have really come to the fore. The latter in Sargent, new signing with 6 goals in 10 appearances, and Tom Cannon, the 22-year-old, starting to develop nicely. 4 goals in the Championship as well. Let's see whether or not that good form can continue though, as for the first time on this career mode we face off at home against another top team in the division. It's Portsmouth, who we welcome to Bramall Lane. But it's an absolute calamity 15 minutes into the game as yet again we concede after another sloppy piece of defending. This time it's an absolute clown show as after a 25-yard screamer rebounds off the crossbar, it then deflects back off the goalkeeper into his own net. A complete disaster as Portsmouth take the lead. Once again though, it's Portsmouth who look more likely to add a second. This time they're firing a strike wide, but finally we eventually get ourselves into gear 40 minutes into the game as it's Souza with a vicious strike that forces the opposition goalkeeper into his first save of the game. 5 minutes into the second half, Josh Sargent thought he had a good opportunity to score, but his shot was blocked by the defenders. But once again Portsmouth stepped it up in response. A lovely little cut in from the left winger, and Strike once again forces our goalkeeper to our rescue. And after Portsmouth started to ramp up the pressure with constant shots and attacks, and wayward goalkeeping from my number 1 doesn't exactly put my defence at ease. 15 minutes from time, once again Portsmouth was so close to doubling their lead, but after some nice footwork by our star midfielder Hammer forcing Portsmouth to concede a corner, I thought we were about to draw level with a thumping header, but unfortunately it just looped over the bar. Deep into stoppage time, a wonderful run from Callum O'Hare almost went it alone to rescue a point for us, but a stunning save from the goalkeeper kept him at bay. And yet again the same corner routine had the same result, another looping header over the bar, as the referee called time on another 90 minutes that saw our second defeat of the game, and our second defeat that I took charge of. I've got to be honest, I am really struggling with this 5-3-2 system. I cannot find any space in attacking areas whatsoever, but with us still in a decent spot in the Championship table after 25 games, albeit slipping to second place, and both Josh Sargent and Tom Cannon absolutely smashing it in front of goal, both of them getting into double figures so far this season. Maybe it's just me who's the problem and I'm just going to have to deal with it. But with the January transfer window now officially open, and with me wanting to try and help us continue our fine run of form in the Championship, I think we're going to need to add one more player to the ranks to try and make sure we can secure that all-important automatic promotion. And looking at the team, I think it's in defence that we could do with some all-important help, as you can see, we've only got 3 first-choice senior centre-backs, and with us playing with 3 at the back, it's definitely something we need to improve on. Rob Holding at 72 and Jack Robinson at 71 could certainly be improved on. And so that is why I've decided to bring in a Republic of Ireland under-21 international, someone who showed great promise at Derby County in his early years, and after struggling to make the grade at Brighton, is determined to show he's got what it takes to make it at top-level football. As that's right, it's left-sided centre-back Aaron Cashin who joins for £3.2 million. Someone who I think is a really good step up from the options we've got at the moment, and someone who will go straight into our starting 11 for our very next game against Blackburn Rovers. And finally, it's Sheffield United who get off to the better start. 2 back-to-back chances, 1 deflected and 1 saved by the goalkeeper to force an early corner. But once again, it's another whopping great header from a corner that flies over the crossbar. 5 minutes later though, it's our goalkeeper to the rescue once again. A fabulous save from close range to keep Blackburn at bay. It's breakthrough just after the half-an-hour mark though, as once again some fabulous close control by Callum O'Hare feeds in a lovely ball to Campbell, who latched onto it and whipped a wonderful strike past the goalkeeper, who had no chance whatsoever to give us a 1-0 lead. Some great defensive work 5 minutes into the second half showed why Cashin was worth every cent of that £3 million we paid for him. And once again, more fabulous build-up play led through Callum O'Hare with a lovely through ball to Josh Sargent meant that we should have been 2-0 up, but the goalkeeper was equal to it. It's followed up by the usual routine of a wonderful corner with a great big whopping header that goes high and wide, and yet again wonderful play from Callum O'Hare, this time on the left hand side with a fabulous whip ball into the box. It's toe poked in by our star midfielder Hammer, but frustratingly for us he just strayed offside. But this time though, after wave after wave after wave of attack, we finally make it count. Wonderful work once again down the right hand left-hand side, one-touch passing into the box, it's Sargent across to Campbell, and Campbell finishes with aplomb to get his second to hopefully put this game beyond doubt. 2-0 Sheffield United. Cooper showed he was absolutely desperate to keep hold of the clean sheet by diving on a loose ball in his penalty area 2 minutes from time, before Campbell and Sargent combined yet again after some more fabulous work in our midfield. A lovely threaded through ball, this time from Hammer, across to Campbell, who just laid it on a plate for Josh Sargent to power into the back of the net to make it 3-0 Sheffield United. And with that positive momentum taking us to within touching distance of automatic promotion, 3 games left, just 1 win needed to secure our spot in the promised land of the Premier League. And it all comes down to a one-off game away from home against Bristol City. The opposition almost strike early though, just 2 minutes into the game, they send a whipping strike just past the post. But after an absolutely barnstorming run by our left-back Burrows all the way from his own half deep into the Bristol City half, and whipping in a wonderful cross right across the box, Tom Cannon could only head the ball wide. 2 minutes later, once again though, it is our new defensive signing Cashin who comes to our rescue. Bristol City clean through on goal and a fabulous block to deny them. 5 minutes later, our goalkeeper Cooper put his body on the line, came out and made himself big to deny yet again another Bristol City attack. But of the two teams, it was us that came the closest. Lovely one-touch pass in between the two strikers yet again, and Josh Sargent could only see his shot hit the post as we continue our search for our breakthrough. But frustratingly, that miss has come back to bite us immediately, with Bristol City yet again on the attack and our defence unable to keep them at bay this time. It's a lovely through ball into the box and they make no mistake. Wonderful finish. Frustratingly, they take a 1-0 lead. But this relentless end-to-end affair continues as this time it's our turn to go up the other end and play more wonderful interchanging passing for our strikers to finally find the breakthrough. This time it's Cannon who cannons a strike past the goalkeeper. 1-1. It was almost an immediate calamity at the back though, as we got so close to gifting the lead back to Bristol City. Once again they walked through the defence and the goalkeeper, my word, he breathes a sigh of relief, rebounds back off of him, hits the bar, and we just about managed to clear the ball. This game is unrelenting though, as after some good work down the right hand side, we try and hit back with the ball bouncing around like a pinball inside the Bristol City box, but the home team just about managed to clear it. Just moments into the second half, Bristol City looked like they were going to retake control of the game after fine work in the centre of the park, but they just drag a shot wide. But finally, after time after time after time of asking, we finally managed to turn the game on its head. More work down the centre of the park. Josh Sargent thought he'd lost the opportunity, but managed to muscle past the defenders and smash a strike into the top left-hand corner that the bench were all too keen to celebrate as I try and calm the nerves heading into the last 30 minutes of the game. Cannon had a wonderful chance to put separation between the two teams after a wonderful counter-attack. Josh Sargent played it across to him, but he just toe-poked it wide. But at the second time of asking, he made no mistake whatsoever. We win it back in the opposition half, and once again the two strikers combine. Cannon firing past the goalkeeper first time to give us a 2-goal cushion as the fans go absolutely crazy. And the attacking trio of Callum O'Hare, Cannon and Josh Sargent strike for a 4th time in the game. The 3 combine yet again, and this time it's Josh Sargent who applies the finish. 4-1, and Sheffield United are going to the Premier League. Let the celebrations begin as we've reached the promised land at the first time of asking under new management. It's a second place finish in the Championship table as the campaign draws to a close, only being topped by Leicester City. And it's no surprise to see that the now 77 rated Josh Sargent proved to be an astute signing. 27 goals and 10 assists in 46 Championship appearances. What a signing this American has been. Tom Cannon also had a fabulous campaign, combining with the big man. 16 goals in 37 appearances, with Callum O'Hare bringing up the rear. 14 goals and 11 assists in that cam position. He's really made it his own. With Adam Davis being the only man whose contract is coming to an end and I'm not looking to renew, we don't really have any other contract issues that we've got to sort out heading into the Premier League season. But with only a handful of Premier League level players, this starting 11 has got a lot of work to do if we want to stay in the division. I brought Alfie Gilchrist in at 22 years of age, thinking that he was going to develop with first team Championship football, but he hasn't really progressed as much as I would have hoped, and with the likes of Sam Curtis and Jamie Shackleton not being up to the required level, it's more than likely I'm going to have to bring in another right back to compete with him next season. Marvellous Nakambia is anything but marvellous, it must be said, and with Arblaster also not developing exactly as I was hoping, we're probably going to need to bring in more midfield reinforcements to compete with the likes of Vinicius Souza and Gustavo Hammer. And whilst Callum O'Hare has shone in the Championship, does he have the required level to make the step up to the Premier League? Josh Sargent has been outstanding and will certainly be leading the line for me next season. But whilst Tom Cannon got 19 goals in all appearances, does the 73 rated Irishman have enough to be a partner for him, or am I going to have to bring someone else in? If we take a look at the substitutes and the reserves that I've got to choose from, this is not a squad that is capable at staying in the Premier League at the first time of asking. So let's just hope that the board are going to give me the cash injection that I need ahead of the new season to try and make Sheffield United an established Premier League club. But if you want to find out, you're going to have to wait for the very next episode, because that is that for today. Thank you everyone for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.